The Mirror in the Attic. Chapter 1. I knew the house was bad news the second I saw it. Waverly House leaned to one side, like it was too tired to keep standing. The paint peeled off the walls in gray, curling strips. Half the shutters hung broken. A crooked weather vane spun on the roof, squealing in the wind. "This is charming," Mom said, forcing a bright smile as she stepped out of the moving van. Dad grunted, carrying a box marked kitchen stuff. "It's got character," he said. "Wait until you see the inside." I stared up at the windows. All dark. All empty. It felt like the house was staring back. "I'll wait right here, thanks," I muttered. But of course, I didn't get a choice. Chapter 2. Inside, it smelled like dust and something sour. The front door creaked and groaned as we pushed it open. The floors sagged. A cold breeze whispered through the halls. "This place needs some TLC," Dad said cheerfully. "We'll fix it up in no time." Yeah. If no time meant 20 years. I trudged upstairs to find my room, a small space with faded rose pattern wallpaper and a cracked window overlooking the backyard. At least I'd get my own bathroom, I thought. I flopped onto the sagging mattress someone had left behind. The springs squeaked loudly under me. Thump. I sat up straight. Thump. Scrape. The sound was coming from above me. The attic. Chapter 3. I tiptoed into the hallway. The attic door was at the end, a square panel in the ceiling with a long cord hanging down. It swung gently back and forth, even though no one had touched it. "Drafty old house," I whispered, even though I didn't believe it. That night, after dinner, we unpacked until my arms ached. Mom and Dad collapsed onto the living room couch. I dragged myself upstairs to bed. Thump. Scrape. The sound again. Louder now. Heavier. I pulled the covers up to my chin and squeezed my eyes shut. If I don't look, it can't hurt me, I told myself. But the thumping kept coming. And it was getting closer. Chapter 4. The next morning, sunlight streamed through my window. Everything looked normal. I decided to investigate. Armed with a flashlight and a broom, in case of rats, I pulled the attic cord. The ladder unfolded with a screech loud enough to wake the dead. Holding my breath, I climbed up. The attic was huge, full of old furniture draped in dusty sheets. Spiderwebs hung in the corners. The air smelled sharp and cold. I swept the beam of my flashlight across the room. Something gleamed in the far corner. Curious, I made my way over. It was a mirror taller than me, framed in thick wood carved with swirling vines. I wiped the dust away with my sleeve. And gasped. Chapter 5. My reflection stared back at me. But it wasn't right. My hair looked darker. My eyes colder. And when I tilted my head to the left, my reflection tilted to the right. I stumbled back, hard hammering. The flashlight slipped from my hand and clattered to the floor. The sound echoed through the attic like a gunshot. When I looked back at the mirror, my reflection was normal again. I grabbed the flashlight and bolted down the attic stairs. I didn't look back. Not even once. Chapter 6. On Monday, a boy my age showed up at the front door. "Hey," he said, grinning. "I'm Caleb. I live next door." I nodded. "I'm Jenna. I heard someone finally moved into the haunted house," Caleb said. "It's not haunted," I said quickly. He raised an eyebrow. "You sure? Waverly House has stories. Bad ones." I forced a laugh. "Like what?" Caleb leaned closer. "They say there's a mirror in the attic. If you stare into it too long." He dropped his voice to a whisper. "You get trapped inside." Chapter 7. I swallowed hard. "That's just a story." "Maybe," Caleb said, grinning again. "Wanna hang out?" I spent the afternoon with him exploring the backyard and woods. It felt good to be around someone normal. Someone who didn't make my skin crawl. But later that night, lying in bed, I couldn't stop thinking about what he said. About the mirror. and the way my reflection had smiled without me. Thump. My heart jumped. Thump. Scrape. The sound came again, louder than before, stopping right outside my bedroom door. Chapter 8. Tap. Tap. 3 soft knocks. I clutched the covers tightly around me. Silence. Minutes passed. Maybe hours. When I finally crept out of bed, the hallway was empty. No one there. But when I glanced down, bare, muddy footprints led from the attic stairs straight to my bedroom door. Chapter 9. The next day, I made Caleb come over again. "I have to show you something," I said. He followed me up the attic stairs, grumbling about the dust. When we reached the top, I swept the flashlight beam across the room until it landed on the mirror. "There it is," I whispered. Caleb stepped closer. He squinted at his reflection. "Looks normal to me." I stayed a few feet back. My hands were sweaty. "Look again," I said. Caleb leaned closer. And behind him, in the mirror, something moved. Something that wasn't us. Chapter 10. I spun around. Nothing there. Only empty air and dusty furniture. But in the mirror, the shadow slithered closer to Caleb's reflection. "Come on," I said, grabbing his arm. Caleb frowned. "What's the big deal?" "We need to go," I hissed. We scrambled down the attic stairs and slammed the door shut behind us. Neither of us saw the mirror ripple. Neither of us saw our reflections grin. Chapter 11. "I'm telling you, something's wrong with that mirror," I said. Caleb just shrugged. "Or maybe you're just freaked out because of the stories." "I know what I saw." He tucked his skateboard under one arm. "If it makes you feel better, just cover it. Or smash it." Smash it. The idea made my stomach twist. Something told me breaking the mirror would be a very bad idea. That night, I made a plan. I would go up there. I would cover it. I would lock the attic door. And maybe, just maybe, everything would go back to normal. Chapter 12. I waited until midnight. I threw on my sweatshirt, grabbed the biggest blanket I could find, and crept down the hall. The attic ladder creaked loudly as I pulled it down. I paused, listening. Nothing. Just the howling wind outside. I climbed into the attic, dragging the blanket behind me. The air up there was freezing cold. My breath came out in misty puffs. The flashlight flickered in my hand as I approached the mirror. My heart hammered harder with every step. Because this time, I could see someone standing in the reflection. Someone who wasn't me. Chapter 13. It looked like me. Same clothes. Same messy hair. But the eyes. They were wrong. They were too bright. Too sharp. Too hungry. The other me smiled. A cold, nasty smile. I froze, blanket clutched in my shaking hands. The reflection raised one hand and pressed it flat against the glass. The surface of the mirror rippled like water. Before I could move, a hand shot out of the mirror and grabbed my wrist. Chapter 14. I screamed and tried to yank free. The hand was ice cold, its grip iron strong. It yanked me closer, pulling me toward the glass. "No!" I shrieked. "Let go!" The mirror's surface bent and twisted, sucking me in like a black hole. I dug in my heels. I dropped the flashlight. It rolled across the floor, its beam spinning wildly. In the spinning light, I saw my reflection's face grinning wider, showing way too many teeth. I slipped forward. My face slammed into the glass. And I fell through. Chapter 15. Everything spun. I tumbled head over heels into darkness. When I opened my eyes, I was standing in the attic. But something was wrong. Everything was reversed. The old trunks. The furniture. Even the dust floated backward in the air. I turned around slowly. Behind me stood the mirror. And inside it, peering out at me, was myself. Or not me. The other Jenna. She winked. Then she dragged the blanket over the mirror, sealing me inside. I screamed. I pounded on the glass. No one heard me. No one even knew I was gone. Chapter 16. Days passed. Or maybe weeks. It was hard to tell inside the mirror world. Time felt sticky, stretched too thin. Sometimes, I would see flashes through the glass. Flashes of my house. Of my parents. Of Caleb. And always the other Jenna was there. She laughed with my parents. She joked with Caleb. She lived my life. And no one noticed the difference. No one even realized I was gone. Chapter 17. I tried everything. I screamed. I pounded on the glass until my fists ached. I begged. Pleaded. Nothing worked. No one could hear me. Once, I thought Caleb might have sensed something. I watched through the mirror as he stood outside my bedroom, frowning. He reached for the attic door. Hope exploded inside me like a firecracker. Yes. Caleb. Come on. But then other Jenna appeared behind him, smiling that cold, fake smile. And he forgot all about the attic. He followed her downstairs. And I stayed trapped. Chapter 18. I stopped counting the days. The mirror world grew colder. Darker. Sometimes I heard whispers in the corners. Other voices. Other kids. Other people who had been trapped before me. Their faces would flicker in the mirror glass, sometimes pale, desperate, lost. I wasn't alone. But that wasn't comforting. It was horrifying. And the worst part was, I was starting to forget. Forget my room. Forget my parents. Forget my own name. The mirror was eating away at me, piece by piece. Chapter 19. Then, one night, something changed. The mirror's surface shimmered and wobbled. Footsteps echoed in the attic, real footsteps. Someone had come back. I rushed to the glass and pressed my hands against it, peering out. It was Caleb. He stood in front of the mirror, his face pale. And next to him stood other Jenna. Only she wasn't smiling. She looked angry, furious. Caleb raised the hammer. My heart leaped. He's going to smash it. He's going to set me free. No! Other Jenna shrieked. She lunged at him. Chapter 20. The hammer swung through the air and slammed into the mirror with a deafening crack. The glass shattered. Light exploded all around me, blinding, burning. I fell forward, coughing, gasping, and landed hard on the attic floor. I was free. I scrambled up just in time to see other Jenna dissolve into smoke, screaming as she vanished into the broken shards. Caleb stared at me, eyes wide. Jenna? He whispered. The real you? I nodded, too choked up to speak. We raced down the attic stairs together. We didn't stop running until we were outside, standing in the cold night air. Safe. Or so I thought. Because when I glanced at a window in the house, for just a second, I saw my reflection smiling at me. Only it wasn't my reflection.